What is going on, everyone? It's your boy Kazak here, and today I have a little bit of a special video here for you guys today. So obviously 2024 is quickly coming to an end, and when it comes to game releases, bro, this year has been a absolutely fantastic year when it comes to gaming. There's been a lot of amazing video games that have came out and just been consistently good, and just been so much stuff to cover and to get and to buy. Obviously, it was hard for me to go out and get every single game that came out this year, just because there's just been so much stuff that's been out in the open, and so everybody's been talking about all kinds of different stuff. It's just been really hard to get my hands on everything, but I have played a great amount of games to where I could actually make a list of games that I absolutely enjoyed this year. So in today's video, we're going to be obviously talking about my games of the year. This is going to be more of a list, and the number one pick is obviously going to be my game of the year. So with all that said, let's actually dive into this list, and yeah, let's talk about some games that I personally enjoyed in 2024. Starting off, we have Granblue Relink. Now, this was the very first game I actually bought in 2024, and this game was absolutely phenomenal, man. I really loved the gameplay. I really loved how this was kind of like a more Monster Hunter-like type of game where you could kind of pick the characters that you like, and you can go into different quests and stuff with your friends, and you can basically just get a bunch of cool weapons, upgrade your character, strengthen them up a bit, and some really fun boss fights too. This game had a lot of fun and engaging boss fights, and not to mention there's so many playable characters in this game, all of which the character designs are super cool. Some of them have really cool backstories behind them, and so many unique different play styles on top of that as well. So there's really a lot with Granblue that I really enjoyed, and it was just amazing. I loved my experience with it. If I had to say like any sort of con that I had to get to the game, it would definitely be the story mode. I felt like that the story mode could have been better. It could have been a little bit more beginner friendly for those who have not really experienced the Granblue history and the story prior to this game. And I also think that after a certain point in the post game, the content kind of gets a little too samey and a little repetitive sometimes, which I really hope that at some point they actually do make an expansion for this game and basically just do like a Granblue Relink Iceborne edition or something like that, with brand new story mode, more playable characters, new weapons to unlock for your characters, new abilities, all that great stuff. But when it comes to just the base experience of Granblue Relink, I absolutely enjoyed it. It was super fun, and it was really good playing this with my brother and other friends as well, getting in on that really fun co-op experience too. And it just felt really satisfying to play. I know some people were probably expecting it to be a more traditional JRPG, but honestly, I'm pretty happy with what we got at the end of the day, with it being like a more quest-based sort of RPG, where you can sort of just pick your favorite character, go into a mission, and just have a whole bunch of fun doing it. I mean, it was fantastic, man. I really enjoyed the game, and yeah, I thought it was amazing. So it definitely deserves to be on this list for me personally. Up next, we have Persona 3 Reload, and in case you guys don't know, Persona 3 is my favorite Persona game of all times. So the fact that Atlus decided to remake Persona 3, it had me extremely excited to get my hands on this remake and just to explore everything that it had to offer. And I have to say, after putting in almost 100 hours into the game and doing multiple playthroughs on this game as well, I really loved my time with Persona 3 Reload. Obviously, it wasn't perfect. It did have some things in there that I personally wish could have been better. Like, for example, I do wish they could have kept certain mechanics and stuff from Persona 3 Fest. Certain cutscenes and stuff I felt like should have been a little better, should have been animated in 2D in my opinion. But as an overall experience, as a modern experience of Persona 3, I enjoyed it a lot. It was really fun going back to this game, seeing all the different sort of changes that they added to it, seeing how the environments were completely remade from the ground up, seeing the Polonium Mall be remade was amazing to see, on top of the fantastic OST that this game has. Oh man, it was super good. I can't get enough of the new battle theme especially. That one was really freaking good. As far as the gameplay itself, it obviously feels like a modern Persona game, similar to like Persona 5 and stuff. I really enjoyed the combat system. I also appreciate how they changed up Tartarus just a little bit. Obviously, it's not too different from how it was in the original game, but in here I can tell that the level design was a little bit more improved, and it actually had you doing more things than just running around and fighting the enemies a whole bunch. Instead, you have like the different challenge floors and stuff like that, and I really appreciate just how much detail and work that they put into bringing this game to life with the new 3D models, which all the characters look absolutely fantastic. I also feel that the voice acting, for the most part, was pretty solid. Obviously, I do think that the original voice acting was better, but the new cast did a really solid job with this game here. I mean, they put on their really great performances here. And overall, Persona 3 was an absolute treat to go back to and play. It was, like, when it comes to like a remake, I was pretty satisfied with what we got. I'm very happy with it. And it brought back all those emotions that I had when I played the original Persona 3 Fest back on the PlayStation 2. This was a great game for me, and I loved every bit of it. It doesn't have its little quirks and problems that definitely deserve criticism, yes, but at the same time, I absolutely loved Persona 3 Reload. Next up, we have Tekken 8, and I can tell you this as a longtime casual Tekken fan, Tekken 8 is an absolute blast to play. I think one of my most favorite things about the game was the story mode. I mean, seeing how Jin confronts his like dark past and seeing how he ultimately does make some improvements as a character throughout the story, all the while confronting Kazuya and his devil powers and stuff. It was really fun to see just how this story was going to go and how they will ultimately conclude the Mishima storyline. Well, at first, because, you know, Heihachi is back, and it looks like that they're still going to keep on going with the whole Mishima story, but that's beside the point. Either way, the base story was a ton of fun to play through, and I really loved just how much detail and care that they put into that story mode. Now, when it comes to the gameplay feels really dang good. I mean, everything feels super responsive. Everything feels way more extreme than it has been in past Tekken games, which can either be seen as a good or bad thing to some people, but for me personally, I really enjoyed the extra spectacle that they added into Tekken 8. And, you know, not only that, but the character customization is back here too, and while it is a little bit lacking than it was in past Tekken games, you can still make a whole bunch of crazy, stupid creations. I mean, I know I did. I made a whole bunch of meme-worthy character creation stuff on there, and that was also a ton of fun as well. But no, Tekken 8 overall as a fighting game is really solid. I enjoyed the story mode. The gameplay feels probably the best it's ever felt in a pretty long time. Visually, the game looks incredible. I mean, it looks absolutely beautiful, and it really does show that Tekken has come a very long way from how it was back in the day to where it is now, where it's one of the most celebrated fighting games of all times. And granted, once again, I do have my criticisms with the game, but as a base experience, Tekken 8 is a good time. I enjoyed every bit of it. Up next, we have Ys 10 Nordics. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't really know how to feel about this game. When I was seeing the gameplay and the concept and stuff for it, I was concerned about it because I didn't know how a lot of these changes would ultimately affect the game. However, now that I actually got my chance to grab the game and pour in a good amount of hours into it, doing like the different side quests and trying to get all the little achievements to get the platinums and stuff, I can safely say without a doubt that Ys 10 Nordics is now one of my new favorite Ys games, period. I mean, everything from the story to the combat was done extremely well here. I even liked the ship exploration, which at first I wasn't really feeling, but as I started playing more, I started to see how they would expand on this and add a whole bunch of new stuff to make the experience all the more fun. And I actually grew to appreciate it quite a bit. I mean, I started to enjoy going through the seas and finding new locations and finding cool treasure and even recruiting new characters that will join you among your journey and stuff like that. It was really cool that Falcom took this time to not only just innovate, but to make Ys 10 feel as expansive as possible. And this also applies to the combat system as well, where while the combat system is very different from what we're used to in more modern Ys games, it still feels very fun. And in fact, I actually found this game to be pretty challenging at times, mainly because of the fact that I didn't understand the mechanics quite well, but also because of the fact that there were genuinely just some good challenging boss fights here, which I felt like were a little lacking in past Ys games. But in here, there's a lot of challenge here that I appreciated that they added here. So, I mean, when it comes to Ys 10, bro, there was a lot of things here that I really enjoyed. It had me worried at first, but all those worries basically thrown out the window once I played the game. And I can safely say it's easily up there as like JRPG of the year, but it's not. Believe it or not, it's not JRPG of the year for me personally. In fact, there's actually another game that takes this title. Up next, we have AUNE Chronicles 100 Heroes. For those of you guys who don't know, I am a massive Suikoden fan. I've always loved this series, and in fact, it is my favorite JRPG series. I played Suikoden 1, I played 2, 3, 4, and 5, and loved pretty much all of them, well, except for 4. But even that one aside, this franchise a lot, and I love these games. So AUNE Chronicles popping up on his list shouldn't really come as a surprise to anybody knowing that. And granted, I do understand that this game does have its fair share of issues. It's not a perfect JRPG by any stretch of the imagination. It has some archaic design choices that does hold it back. And even when it comes to its story and narrative, it is a little bit more on the predictable / corny side, if you want to put it like that. But the reason why AUNE Chronicles is rated so high up here is because of the fact it still captures a lot of the things that made me fall in love with the Suikoden franchise. Everything from being able to recruit over 100 different characters, the fun and engaging 6-man combat system, the strategy battles, and just overall that old school JRPG's feeling to it is enough for me to really appreciate it and love this game as much as I do. It's really good, it's fun, the heart is in this game, it is there. And knowing that this was Miriam's last project to give to everyone, to us the fans, it really does hold a special place for me personally. Now, I don't say that as a way to like give it like a pity vote or nothing like that. It's about the fact that this was a project that was made for us fans to enjoy and to appreciate and to, you know, basically experience what we've been wanting for such a long time. And it hit those marks for me personally. It does a lot of things that I've always wanted in like a Suikoden 6. And obviously, like I said before, it doesn't have everything. It's not perfect. But the one thing that it does have is heart and charm. So that's technically two things. But, you know, that aside, AUNE Chronicles is a game that, for all its flaws, is a game that I really enjoy a lot. It is still my JRPG of the year. Now, notice that I said JRPG of the year and not game of the year. So you're probably wondering, wait a minute, if this game is not your game of the year, then what is? Well, you're going to find out. But before we get to that, I figured that we do a quick little montage video of honorable mentions. So with that said, let's get to that first, and then we'll go on to our game of the year. So here we are at the finale of this video, where I sit here and I tell you guys my game of the year. And it might not come as a surprise to some people, but regardless, I'm going to tell you guys right here, right now. My personal game of the year for 2024 is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Yes, you heard it right here, folks. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is my personal game of the year for 2024. I mean, this game is just absolutely incredible. Everything from the amazing graphics to the fun, exciting gameplay and to the stupidly huge character roster spanning from so many different eras of Dragon Ball. From the OG Dragon Ball with only Kid Goku, from Dragon Ball Z to Super to DT. I mean, this game's character roster is humongous and filled to the brim with so many iconic characters that we all love and know. Now, granted, is this game perfect? No. Obviously, some people online have expressed some of their criticisms and stuff about the game, myself included, but as a overall experience, this game kind of feels like the definitive Dragon Ball fighting game in my opinion, at least in the modern sense. Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is still the best one in my opinion, but Sparking Zero just does so much that honestly can't really criticize it that heavily. I mean, this game just does so much that I've always wanted from a modern Dragon Ball game. And I played a lot of modern Dragon Ball games, and a lot of them are great. You know, a lot of them are very, very solid. But Sparking Zero is most definitely the game that I've been waiting for all this time. You know, it was the definitive Dragon Ball experience that I've been wanting ever since I was young, and after the release of Budokai Tenkaichi 3, there hasn't been too many Dragon Ball games that have quite reached that same level for me in terms of hype and excitement. But when I saw Dragon Ball Sparking Zero and as it was coming out, the hype levels was just off the charts, man. I mean, this game was exceeding expectations. Even when they stated that they couldn't do local multiplayer, they still did it for the fans and still added in there anyways. You know, everything about this game just feels so good and fun, man. You know, the story mode was a little bit okay, but hey, you know, the what if scenarios definitely made up for it in my opinion. The custom battles are pretty freaking wild, but those are pretty fun too. And online is a little bit of a mess, but you know, when you're just playing this game with the homies and stuff, this game, it brings you back to that old school era when you were playing Tenkaichi 3 and stuff with the homies. You know, this, I don't, because this game is just so freaking good and I love playing it. I pretty much play it on a daily basis, and it's amazing, man. It's pretty much everything that I've wanted from a modern like Dragon Ball fighting game. And not only that, but another thing that this game represents to me too is that it kind of represents why I love Dragon Ball so much, and it just shows how much, you know, it basically gave me a reason to why I love Dragon Ball so much. The crazy battles, the crazy awesome transformations, the great character build-ups, and the development of the characters as well. Everything Dragon Ball has done for me has just been phenomenal. It really does show that Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, has truly made something special, where even a game like this has a very, you know, special value to me, you know? And all of that basically adds up to the reason why Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is my game of the year for 2024. So, that's it, everyone. That's my game of the year video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There's some ones I didn't mention in my list or anything. Feel free to put it in the comment section below. But with all that said, this was Kazak, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.